Hey everybody, G4 Video 5 here, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto 3. In this part, we will be completing the off-road vehicle missions that you can do across Liberty City, and we begin here at the Super Save in Portland View to begin with Patriot Playground. And the way that these off-road vehicle missions work is that you need to enter a specific type of vehicle at a specific location across Liberty City. So for this first mission, we must enter a Patriot at this parking lot. And the Patriot doesn't necessarily need to be the Patriot that usually spawns here, because sometimes this Patriot won't spawn in, so your options at that point would be to drive away and then come back to see if it ends up spawning in for you, or you can actually bring your own Patriot if you already happen to have one, or if you run into one on the streets of Liberty City, as you can bring it on over to that parking lot and then exit the vehicle and re-enter it to activate doing the missions. So it's pretty cool that the game allows you to do that. You know, you don't have to rely on the game spawning in the appropriate vehicle for you just in case you happen to be unlucky or something. So, you know, that's pretty cool stuff there. And the way that these missions work is that when you activate doing these missions, you'll have a bunch of checkpoints pop up in an off-road area nearby where you ended up activating this mission. So in the case of this first mission, we have some checkpoints popping up in Portland View, St. Mark's, and Portland Beach. So you kind of got to watch yourself there and not flirt too much with that sidewalk area near the opening section of this mission, because in my situation I have the Mafia pissed off at me. So, you know, it's like if you get some Mafia gang members spawning in, I mean, they might try slapping you around a little bit, so, you know, you got to kind of keep it in your slacks there, not flirt too much with the pedestrian spawning area of St. Mark's, and just kind of keep it off-road as much as possible. So, you know, that's definitely something to watch out for. So I suppose it probably would be best to do this mission as early in the game as possible when the Mafia aren't pissed off at you, so you don't even really have to worry about that. And speaking of worrying about things, I suppose the main issue with this mission that you might have is just memorizing where these checkpoints are going to spawn in at. Because when you activate doing this mission, these checkpoints pop up, and they will always pop up at the same exact locations every time you do this mission, just in case you fail the mission, or maybe you want to replay this mission to see if you can beat your previous time. And, you know, the issue tends to lie in just memorizing where these things are, because you might notice on the minimap that there is no indication as to whether or not these checkpoints are above or below Claude. So it's kind of a guessing game unless you use a guide just from your first time doing this mission. So, you know, it can kind of lead to some issues where you might overcommit to kind of, you know, wandering around Salvatore's mansion when you really don't have to, because it turns out that some checkpoints are actually on the rocks below you or on the beach area. So, you know, that can be a little annoying, but thankfully the Patriot is quite the vehicle, because you can see you can just kind of climb up cliffs just like that. I mean, man, I wish all these off-road vehicle missions involve the Patriot, because there's one in particular that we're going to be doing pretty soon here that is a just huge pain in the ass. And if we had the Patriot, I mean, that mission would be no problem, I think. As this mission is not too big of an issue as long as you kind of take it slow in certain spots, because as insanely powerful, I guess, as the Patriot is, it still is possible to flip your vehicle just from being a bit too lackadaisical or, you know, loose with your movements. And, you know, there's some moments with these rocks where you might think that they're at a certain angle, but in reality, they're a bit off, and you might, you know, misjudge kind of the slope and all that, so you end up flipping your Patriot. So that's another thing that you'd have to memorize too, is just the overall layout of some of these rock areas and stuff in these missions. But overall, this first one ain't too bad. And this next one that we're going to be doing, I don't know why I did that, I don't know why I got out of the Patriot and then got back in, but this next off-road vehicle mission involves the Stallion. And I remember as a kid, I accidentally discovered doing this mission because I ended up stealing a Stallion that was outside of this car park. So when I entered the Stallion, it triggered doing this mission. I was like blown away. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, I didn't know that this existed in these games. This is amazing, you know, because, you know, I really do enjoy doing these missions. I think they're really, really fun, especially this one, because it's, you know, less about kind of going off-road, and this one's just, it's almost like Driver 1 and that test that you do at the beginning of Driver, where you have to kind of navigate through this like parking garage area, and I like that a lot. I think that this is my favorite off-road vehicle mission because of the twists and turns that you need to make as you're going through this parking garage and getting all these checkpoints. You know, it requires a bit of finesse as you're maneuvering around the place, and I like that quite a bit. I just don't like the Stallion color, you know, that's my only complaint there, but, you know, anyways, so with this mission, I brought my own Stallion, and as you can see within the garage, there are Stallions kind of parked around the place that you could potentially run into in case you need a Stallion. So, you know, it's a pretty common vehicle, so it's not too big of an issue. There's also a Stallion that is parked at the hospital here in Staunton Island, so if you desperately needed a Stallion for whatever reason, then you could definitely go there to get one fairly quickly. And like with any vehicle in this game, it's like sometimes vehicles don't spawn in, even though they have parked locations, so you would have to drive away and then come back. So overall, though, I like this off-road vehicle mission quite a bit, especially because of this last checkpoint where we have this epic stunt jump to conclude it. I mean, that's pretty awesome stuff right there. I definitely am a fan of what's going on, but, you know, my tone will change quite quickly here, as in Staunton Island you not only have that first off-road vehicle mission, but you also have the second off-road vehicle mission. Ooh, very cool stuff here, or at least it seems that way on paper, you know, having these different options here, as a ride in the park is a huge pain in the ass and is probably the worst mission in this game, because the vehicle that we have to use for this one is the Landstalker, and it is just awful for going around off-roading in this game. I mean, it is just a huge pain in the ass just trying to navigate. You know, I'd say the only recommendation I have is to take it kind of slow, but you know, even then, it's just a matter of just kind of getting used to this thing and how, like, slippery it can be, because it does kind of have a mind of its own at times. And I feel like people have kind of named it the Flip Stalker because it's so easy to flip this thing during this mission, so I think that's a very appropriate name for this vehicle. It's definitely worthy of being called the Flip Stalker, but, you know, you might notice that some of these checkpoints, at least early on, are kind of in positions where it looks like you have to use the hills as ramps to kind of jump over the walls and stuff. Like with those first few, there were some that were kind of like aligned with the wall, and there's a bit of a trick you can do where you can like dry hump the the outskirts of this park here in Belleville, as by hugging the wall, the game, I guess, thinks that you're within the range of the checkpoints, so it ends up giving you credit for collecting those checkpoints. And I'm quite thankful for that, because, you know, it would really suck having to do this, I guess, the intended way of using certain hills as ramps to jump over the walls. Because, yeah, this thing's bad enough just driving at a normal speed. I couldn't imagine going full speed off those, like, hills, and then I don't know, I just don't want to think about that too much. I just like the whole dry humping aspect of what's going on there. But anyways, so we're done with that. Now we're here at the final off-road vehicle mission, where we return to using a Patriot. And again, you can use your own Patriot if you want to, but there is one that parks here in this little park area. So Gripped is our final off-road vehicle mission, and it's very similar to the first one that we did, and I'm super cool with it. There is that element of danger that is not avoidable, as there will be certain parts of this off-road vehicle mission that involve flirting with a, you know, large portion of a sidewalk that can potentially spawn Colombian cartel gang members. and they have pistols and Uzis, so that's thankfully not pistols and shotguns like the Mafia, so, you know, it's not too big of a deal, but, you know, you can potentially get quite a few of them to gang up on you and shooting at you and stuff, damaging your car, and you might just have natural damage happen to you as you're kind of driving around the place trying to get a feel for how these rocks and slopes work. So, you know, the damage can add up over time quite drastically if you get really unlucky with the Colombian cartel gang members. So, you know, I guess your best bet is to maybe even pull out that bulletproof Patriot that you get from Ray Mikowski when you complete his final mission. So that's definitely an idea if you're feeling frisky enough to use something as, you know, as rare as that. You know, there is no other bulletproof Patriot in the game besides the one you get during that mission, so I don't know, it's just an option for you. Like, you know, even if you fail like doing this mission, like if you flip your vehicle or something, you could just reload a save if you really wanted to, so theoretically you would never lose that bulletproof Patriot. And, you know, something I wanted to point out is that I'm listening to Chatterbox FM in the background, and this segment, the Fernando Martinez interview, is like my favorite part of Chatterbox FM, so I'd like to listen in on that before we end up concluding this part.
For my people, it is the holiest, most sacrosanct thing imaginable, like a church. Yet, for it to be a happy marriage, it must also be like a brothel. The woman, she must be many, many arts, be skilled in making house, cooking, changing the diapers on the babies, and she must also be a whore, a vixen in the bedroom, imaginative, exotic, constantly fresh. It is impossible. You change the diapers and then you are a French maid? Fernando thinks not. Fernando knows not.
Well, I mean, you know, it's an age-old problem. I mean, how do you keep the excitement in a marriage?
Excitement, exactly. Passion, danger. How, Laszlo? How? Tell me how, and I give you a big, big kiss. Like I gave a woman. But I am not going to give you a big kiss. Not a kiss like I gave a woman or even a donkey. Because you do not know.
Well, I mean, in this case, ignorance kind of seems like bliss. I wasn't really up for kissing on air. I mean,
why not, Laszlo? Am I not attractive? Am I not irresistible even to you? Well, no matter. Why all this talking about kissing?
I mean, you brought it up.
No, my friend. You say you not want to kiss me. I was talking how to say, hypothetically, to make me all personal. It's a bit different. If I say, imagine if your wife was ugly, you can nod your head. But if I say, hey, Laszlo, your wife, she looked like yesterday's dinner after I eat. You not so happy. It's a bit different, my friend.
Anyway,
the marriage is impossible, Laszlo. If a man was born an angel, maybe impossible. But a man is born a man. And a man with needs. He needs a woman to tuck his babies into the bed. But for his bed, he needs something else. Something magical. A dream. Sueño.
So he starts flirting with his secretary, takes her out for a drink, one thing leads to another, and before you know it, he's found all kinds of uses for the office furniture.
Exactly, Laszlo. I know what you are like. I see it in your eyes. A wanderer, a dreamer, a man who has needs, but an idiot. And I can save you. And I can save your marriage.
My marriage doesn't need saving.
Hey, you are the one mentioning the pretty assisting and... Am I not attractive?
I think so.
Am I not attractive? She must also be a whore.
So I just wanted to give some spotlight to Chatterbox FM because it is my favorite talk radio station in the entire Grand Theft Auto series. I think Laszlo is phenomenal in this iteration of Chatterbox, so it was fantastic stuff, and honestly this mission is also fantastic. I like this off-road vehicle mission quite a bit because we're in this like scenic area of Shoreside Vale that you only ever see in the background really when you're driving around the place, so to actually be doing like a mission here is pretty cool stuff. Anyways, that concludes this part. In the next part, we will be taking on the RC vehicle missions, so until then, I will see you next time.